The Atlanta Falcons officially have a head coaching opening. And as we've said, this has to be one of the more attractive positions for a head coach. Now, it may not be as attractive as, let's say, the Chargers, because they do have the biggest issue in all of professional sports fixed in the fact that they have Justin Herbert, but they have cap issue. They have a lot of decisions with aging players and stuff like that that's going to prevent them from really building up that roster. The Falcons, on the other hand, for a new coach, we're going to talk about the pros of this. What are the pros of this Falcons job that may make it even more enticing than Justin Herbert, as difficult as that might be?
Yeah, I think that you can look at it in terms of personnel and then facilities. So I'll begin with the former. You got Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. Very few teams have a three-headed monster like that as young as they do that you could potentially build around. On top of that, you've got the offensive line. It's going to return all 5 starters. Chris Lindstrom's locked up. Kayla McGarry's on a new deal. He could be upgraded. And it is a contract that you could potentially get out of it with minimal dead cap. Drew Dahlman is returning on the final year of his rookie deal. You got Matthew Bergeron and then the Iron Man himself, Jake Matthews. So, you've got a formidable offensive line. Continuity along the offensive front is very important. Now there's very good pieces on the defensive side of the ball, not nearly as attractive as the offensive side, but you've got a quarterback on the defensive side already in Jesse Bates. You're maybe missing that, pass rusher that everybody loves. But Arnold Ebiketie did take strides this year, and he at least looks like a B kind of guy that can line up across an A kind of guy. You've got your linebacking core set with Caden Dallas. Troy Anderson returns, and you got Nate Landman, who just was the surprise of the offseason. Then you got A.J. Terrell on one side. Clark Phillips looked like he showed some real growth, though he struggled against the Saints. He looks like he's got a real future in this league. And then you got the guys up front. Grady Jarrett, David Onyemata, anybody who thinking Grady Jarrett's going to take a step back because of the torn ACL will be sorely mistaken. I mean, nobody's as motivated as that guy. So if you're looking at from a roster perspective, it's got to be one of the better rosters in terms of the head coaching opening. I think the only comparable roster, take out the quarterback, is probably Washington, and I would think Atlanta's is better than Washington's.
Yeah, I would give Atlanta the edge there. And then you have to talk about the cap space. And the cap space, they're currently sitting, I think, around $35 to $40 million. But with a few cuts, that'll be closer to $50 million. The salary cap hasn't been released for next year. Has it been released for next year?
No, but they're pretty close. Spotrac or Spot Track is fairly good at projecting what it'll be. And it looks like you cut Taylor Heineke, Mike Hughes, and Lorenzo Carter, and that gives you around 13 extra million. Your Falcons are about 50 million.
And we saw I think we were at 60 million last year. I mean, we saw what $50 million worth of additions can do to a roster. And then obviously you have all your allotment on draft picks. Now the new guy can come in and get that on a quarterback. We can go send them all and try to find a quarterback and move up in the draft. You can use that on Justin Fields. You basically get your pick of the litter. And I imagine whoever comes in is going to have a big say in who he wants to be the next quarterback of this team. And also, if you don't use them moving up in the draft, you can obviously round out your roster that way. So I can't imagine there's too many better positions. I think the one negative we'll get into, so I don't even want to say it yet. We can get into it.
No. There's more positives. I wasn't done. I mean, you said the roster's in a good spot. It's younger. They're still veteran presences, though. You've got all the cap space, all of your draft picks. The Falcons have not traded any draft picks for anybody, any significant draft picks, that is. And like you mentioned, we'll go a step further. I want to go a step further than that, more arbitrary. Arthur Blank, though to his fault, is going to give a head coach whatever he needs. If it's more money to hire a staff, it'll be that. If it's the actual facilities in Flowery Branch, Arthur Blank will give him that. So that is an absolute positive, that Arthur Blank is going to give you whatever you possibly need. And then on top of that, Atlanta's a great place to live. Atlanta, the suburbs of Atlanta are one of the hottest places to live. And that, I know a lot of people are going to, kind of write me off of this, but a family man is certainly talking to his wife about what is best for their family. And if you want to compare living in Las Vegas, the Washington, D.C. metro area, Los Angeles, Atlanta, all these other openings, I think that Atlanta is a very attractive place to be. So I think that has to be taken into account. So I know a lot of people are just going to be focused on the shiny Bijan Robinson, Drake London, but these other things matter to a head coach because at the end of the day, like you said with Big Low Country last episode, if you hadn't seen it, go check it out on the YouTube, sports.ktl.com. Happy wife, happy life. And that matters in these things. I promise it does.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, I know everyone's going to be talking about the Chargers job, and I get it with Justin Herbert. And we've talked about how important that is, and the Falcons don't have that yet. But there's also that attractive aspect of being able to go out there and get your guy and knowing that the organization is behind you 100% and getting whoever that is. And then the other pieces in place are much more attractive than a place like Los Angeles. Coming up after the break, we are going to discuss the cons because there are some cons to this Falcons head coaching job.